Hello everybody, this is Turkey Cat here, bringing you guys another game. This game is another ZvP, actually the same map as the previous game that I just did, but totally different strategy here. Another just unorthodox opening from me. As you'd see, upper right hand corner, Turkey Cat, the Zerg player, yours truly, versus E Power X in the lower left hand corner. That is the Protoss. So we're going to see a little bit of an interesting strategy here. One thing I've been experimenting with lately is just trying any way possible to delay his second Nexus when Protoss is going to try to do this Forge Fast Expand or Nexus First type builds. Basically, the strategy here is to get a hatchery down right here where his Nexus would go. So expand your base in his base. Now, I'm going to pause here really quick and explain exactly what my opening is. So, it's a 15 pool. You could do 14. It's kind of it doesn't really matter. But I send my 14th drone. So actually, when the drone that makes you 14th supply. That drone, I just rally it immediately to this area here because it will get there in time on most maps. Some maps, if there's a longer distance, you'll have to send your 13th, which will have to kind of run around in a circle here for just a little bit of time, depending on the exact distance, before it'll have the money to do it. But the idea is, unless they have two probes here already to kind of fight off your drone, you should always be able to get this Nexus down. And some people will opt to cancel a Nexus and throw it on an Evolution Chamber. You can actually go several different ways with this. The Evolution Chamber option will allow you to actually try to sneak some more lings in when the Evolution Chamber is destroyed. The broodlings come out, they'll be fighting the cannon will be fighting the broodlings, and you can actually get lings in. On this map, I don't think it's very good because of how small this ramp, the top of this ramp already is, and basically this putting down this hatchery here will actually force your opponent to go forge first if he hasn't already, and then usually they'll put down the gateway and other pylons and stuff. So it's too natural of a reaction for the Protoss to immediately wall off when something like this happens. So I don't really like that. It's totally something you can do, but basically back to the game. Obviously, I do know that he is down here and on this side because my Overlord is up here. So I know exactly where he's at. So on some 4-player maps, this can be more difficult to pull off. Not to say that it's hard to do. In fact, one of the things I will do is send like a 12 drone scout. And then that way I actually should be able to scout 2 bases with my drone and 1 base with my Overlord. If this was a 4-player map, just pretending, I might send my Overlord here and then send my drone here and then here, and I think with 12 on most maps that are 4-player maps, it usually will arrive in time if you really want to try to do something like this. And also on 4-player maps, Protoss tend to get more greedy with the Nexus First type option because it's 4-player and they know that you're not going to be able to do any kind of really cheesy stuff with them unless you get really lucky. So basically, I'm going to go back in this game. I'm going to slow it back down to normal speed. I'm going to show you what happens here. So you're going to see this timing actually works out fairly well. E-Power X is actually going to try to cancel this, or he is going to cancel this forge when he has enough money. So he's sending, I'm sending my drone over here. He's doing this forge to be safe, but he obviously scouts. He sees my pool going down late, so he cancels the forge thinking he's going to have plenty of time. And as you can see, my drone's going to arrive here right before he gets 400 minerals, right before he got 400 minerals. So he just tried to throw it down. I blocked it. As soon as he gets out, as soon as my hit moves the probe out of the way, I throw it on the hatchery. Now, if he had fought my drone there, if you get the first attack off, or actually with regen, a drone could actually win anyway, but if you get the first attack off, it's easy for him to see that he's going to lose that battle and send the probe back, and at that point you just throw it on the hatchery. Now, another thing I want to mention about this is that, my other opening style would be, 15 pool, 16 hatch, 17 hatch, or maybe what the kind of standard opening I think I discussed in the last game is getting these 4 lings right off the bat and just throwing down your hatchery there. So it actually doesn't delay your hatchery that much, only by a few seconds. And as you can see, I almost got that pylon down to try to even it up. But I'm going to pause here because I have several things I want to explain. So even if my hatchery is a little bit late here, it doesn't matter because of how late his nexus is going to be. So I'm still in the lead. As you can, you'll see it a few more points to reiterate this as the game goes on. But this is just a bad reaction from the Protoss here. It's the other thing I want to explain. Because he can, the smartest reaction is just to throw down 2 cannons, one like here, maybe here, and then get a wall and maybe go for like a quick zealot counterattack or something like that while you're saving up your money to expand. I would go no gas, which he's correctly doing that. But this is a big mistake to bring all of these probes down. He's really just trying to kill this hatchery. A lot of times, if you have the forge first, if they throw it on the forge first, they will actually already have it completed by the time that your hatchery begins. So usually they'll throw down 2 cannons, and actually the cannons will have it down to about 2 bars of health right before it finishes, and you can just cancel it. It will time out almost perfectly that will happen around the 4:20 to 4:30 mark, which is the exact time your third would go down if you chose to go for a second queen right away, which is like what I like to do. It's what Stefano does. You can opt to not get the second queen, and if this was a standard game, you could not get the second queen and opt to take that third around the 4-minute mark if your macro is perfect. But I prefer to get the second queen first because I'll make my 3 queens as fast as possible. It helps get that first creep tumor out as well, and basically I make all 3 queens from the hatchery in those situations. In this game I will be making both from that hatchery, but I have 300 minerals just about exactly, so my drone is coming down to take my expansion. So anytime that your expansion goes down before the Protosses, you're actually doing good. And that's not what would happen in the case of a Nexus first. His Nexus will actually go down faster and basically playing catch up to the rest of the game. But at this point, he's losing so much mining time with all these probes. Now I want to show one more thing. I am going to pause again. This is one thing that makes this game so interesting and just so much of a steamroll as it moves on. Now, I've done this a lot. Like I said, the best reaction I've seen from Protosses is 2 cannons here and here, something like that, in range of the hatchery, just to shoot it down, and then continue mining off one base while they, get tech a little faster, or something like that. A correct response I've seen is maybe two gateways to wall off with the forge, and zealot pressure pretty quickly, and it can actually, it can be game changer. It can even out the game if they do that correctly, because that zealot pressure is a quicker tech, will actually allow them to force you to make lings, to kind of put the pressure back on you and slow your economy down in return, and allow them to try to catch back up. And then at that point they already have 2 gateways. The cyber core should be down. They should be researching their warp gate, so they'll actually have a quicker push. But the thing is, even though their push can be quicker if they do react properly, their economy won't be nearly as strong, and their push, it can't be something ridiculous like 7 or 8 gate. It's going to be something like maybe a 4 gate pressure, not an all-in. I have seen somebody do a 4 gate all-in against me in response to this, and I just crushed it. Even on 3 bases, it didn't matter because you're just so far ahead economy-wise that even if they do that early pressure, it'll come sooner than you expect. But as long as you're scouting, as long as you have lings prepared for that, you will not die to it if you react appropriately. But what I want to show you here is that he's using these probes to do this, and this is one thing that just makes this game absolutely hilarious. This normally would not happen. Normally right now what I would do is, it's about dead, it's about finished, I would just cancel it. I've got 200 minerals right now. I actually should have a drone on the way. I don't. It's a little bit late because of my goal here. I've got a few lings going across the map. I know that I'm going to do something a little bit different in this game. But if this was normal and he had the 2 cannons right here, I'm never going to be able to get this drone out safely. The cannons are going to kill the drone. It's just over. So basically my pressure's over. I will cancel this, save myself the 225 minerals, and immediately take my third. And as you can see, it's 425. If I had a drone here right now, I'm only 5 seconds behind my normal third timing, where he is a good 2 minutes behind throwing that nexus down, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So I just take a huge lead in the very beginning. Now what happens here, I'm actually go to his cam and show you his reaction. Back up a couple seconds, because since he does not have the cannons down in range, I mean, he does have one growing. I don't actually see that because of the range on the hatchery, and my overlords here is not in range to see that one cannon. But I don't see a cannon hitting me, hitting the hatchery right this second, and I would actually be able to see if it was right here or here, maybe not here, but the point of that is it's in range of if I could see a cannon in range of this right here, this ramp, then I would just cancel it, maybe send the drone back here, try to do some harassment or scouting in the future. Maybe I'd throw down an evolution chamber on top of this spot right here just to delay that nexus even more. You know, there's many options you can do with this, and basically what I'm trying to illustrate is how many different options you have and how many different situations you can apply to this opening because of how much you delay to them. But in this game, for this specific circumstance, what I choose to do is to actually try to get this drone in his base, because I know that I'm not being shot by cannon right now. All he's got are these probes, and I don't. I just want to get, it's not going to hurt me any to try to get that drone in, and if it doesn't work, big deal. I just take my third and move on with the rest of the game. But as you'll see on his camera here, that's exactly what happens. So he's watching. This is actually what he's doing on spam on his camera. So he's watching, and when it gets down to about 2 bars of health left, he looks away for a second. He's like, okay, I want a chrono boost, I want to do some things here. Oh, look, I killed it. Great. All right, no big deal. I'm going to send these probes back, and I'm going to build that nexus in a second. I don't know why, I guess he cancels that stuff. That's a bad decision. He wants to get that nexus up as fast as possible because he feels like he's in really bad pressure. Now, what actually happened right there? When he looked away for a second, he looked back, he sees the hole in the ground, he thinks he killed the hatchery, but what actually happened was this. I selected this the exact same second he looks away, and I moved that in. Now, he did actually have the cannon in range to hit the drone, but it only got 2 shots off, and I actually kept the drone alive. So proxy hatch in his base, he's completely unaware of this, no idea whatsoever that it's growing right there, and as you can imagine, this is just game ender at this point. But as you can see, I'm about 100 minerals. I have my second queen coming out. If this had not worked, or if I'd chosen not to do it or whatever, I could have easily thrown down my third. And you can even throw down the third while putting down the evolution chamber here, just to delay that nexus even more. You can throw the evolution chamber down on top of the hole that your nexus being canceled creates, for those of you who aren't aware. It's a trick a lot of people like to do. They'll throw down the nexus, or the hatchery, excuse me, quickly cancel the hatchery and throw down an evolution chamber on the small bit of creep that is left there in that instant, and it costs much less than actually building a hatchery. Oh, one more thing I do want to explain. I'm going to go back into this. Sometimes, if they only put 1 cannon here and it's hitting, and that's what's hitting the hatchery, I will actually choose, you can even do this with 2 cannons too, I'll actually choose to let the hatchery finish, because you will actually get 2 larvae in time before the hatchery is destroyed, and if you time it correctly, you can make the lings when it's about 4 bars, 3 bars left. You can make the 4 lings. It just depends on the timing of his cannons going down, but you can make the 4 lings here and rally them into his base before the hatchery is destroyed, and then it'll time out correctly where the hatchery will be destroyed, the broodlings will spawn, hit the cannon, distract the cannon from hitting the lings, and the lings can run into the base scot-free. So it's actually a really cool thing to do. It's a really nice trick. It will take a few attempts before you get the timings down correctly, if that's something that you want to try to do. But those 4 lings can just continue to harass these probes, put them even farther behind as the game progresses. So this is really a build that just completely screws with a Protoss player's opening when they try to forge fast expand, and just gives you an early advantage. As you can see, even though I'm only on 2 bases, I am ahead in supply, and he's just now getting this nexus down, and only is on 1 gateway. His cyber core isn't even finished. This is an extreme example, considering he did cancel the forge originally, then had to remake it, then built the gateway, then canceled his cyber core that was here, and his other gateway that was here. Not the greatest decision making on his part, but I just want to show you the point of that is how much did this throw him off. This one thing that I did threw him off so much. He's already canceled 3 buildings. He's so far behind. behind. That even 2-base non-saturated Zerg is actually ahead in supply at this point, which is nowhere that you want to be as a Protoss player. Sitting at 15, I am 6 drones behind, but my harassment is huge. And if I hadn't made all these lings, that would actually be even. And if I had taken my third, I'd be way ahead. But at this point, part of the reason why my drone count is behind is that I have double gas because I don't have any right now, and I'm scrambling to get gas as fast as possible because the Roach Warren is almost finished. So I'm going to have a hatchery in his base in a few seconds. I'm going to make a queen, and I'm going to start making roaches as soon as I possibly can. So that's part of the reason why my drone count is less than his, but that's because this is such an unorthodox game that it just works out that way. So here's a little bad control on my part. Oh, no, not quite yet. Not quite yet. But I am microing a little bit, pulling the weaker lings back so that I don't actually lose any. He doesn't lose the Zealot either, just very intelligently only losing the shields, which is exactly what you want to do as Protoss. And I do screw up here in a second. I'm busy doing something else, and he does use these 2 Zealots to kill all of these lings. But as this is going on, I am actually making a queen and a single roach with the first larva that pops up. He saw the creep spread right here pretty much right as soon as it appeared here. So he was on that because it only spawns around this range at first when the hatchery finishes, and it started spreading. But the queen was already started. The roaches, first roaches are already started. There's 3 there, 3 larvae there, or cocoons there, plus the 2 roaches that have popped out. The queen pops out. That hatchery just barely survives. So as you can see, if he doesn't react and send all of his probes to it right away, he's just going to be put so far behind. And you'll actually be able to get all of this stuff up even before he can kill DPS the full health of the hatchery. So at this point, game's over. If he had actually sent probes over here and started focusing down this hatchery before it finished, I would probably just cancel it and take my third immediately. I wouldn't even let it go as long, if it had been like 25%, I wouldn't even bother letting him get it down into the red. I would just immediately cancel it, take my third, throw down some drones, and just continue with a normal game. Even though you might be tempted to let the probes continue to DPS the hatchery to try to, delay mining and stuff like that. It's actually not worth it. It'd be better if you just get that third down as fast as possible, because you know that you're not going to be able to do anything else with it. And he is so far behind at this point that it didn't really matter. But as you saw, I can go back and show it again. He doesn't, and I'll actually show you his camera view of it. He doesn't actually see it until the hatchery is complete, which buys me plenty of time to get that queen and those roaches out, even though he started attacking the hatchery before that started, so before the roaches started. So I'll show you his vision here. I'll speed it up a little bit because I went back too far. So he's doing that whole micro dance with me, and then, okay, so he sees the creep right there, and he's like, shit, okay, well, let's do this, and attack there, and see, so full health in the hatchery, but showing you the cam, the queen was actually about 5-10% started when he started attacking, and the roach didn't start until after the queen, the first roach, and I've got 3 more on the way. Plus I could build spine crawlers here if I wanted to. I don't choose to do that because of the photon cannon, but just some good control on your part will keep this alive. And probe versus roach is never a place you want to be. As you can see, only 2 roaches and 1 queen that was even injecting for a second there actually managed to kill several probes there. And I'm in cannon range, so I pull back. It's just about good micro. It's about getting the numbers up. At this point, you're guaranteed to win the game. You just don't want to lose these roaches. So I make sure I'm not losing the ones that are low health, and making more. About to, when this inject finishes, I'll have 6 more on the way, and he just leaves the game. He knows there's nothing he can do. He knows he's so far behind. The proxy hatch, very, very unorthodox of a transition. Not something that will normally work out that way, but it is something that, it did work out in this game, so that's what I chose to do. If I hadn't done that, I would have been 1, 2, 3 drones, 3 more drones ahead, plus the one that was here. Probably wouldn't have gotten that one out, actually, so that doesn't count. But would have been able to take my third, would have had 2 queens already, would have not had these gases in this roach warren, so I would have actually been on equal terms of workers is him, but 3 base before he even gets his nexus, his second base down when they're trying to forge fast expand, you already have 3 bases down. You are miles ahead. You'll have absolutely no trouble saturating fully 2 bases before he's even able to do anything. And then obviously, like I said, the intelligent decision there for you to make as the Zerg player would be to see what he's doing before you try to saturate that 3rd base. Having the 3rd base is key, but you want to make sure that he's not doing some kind of really quick 4-gate pressure or something like that, in which case, as you can imagine, you don't need a 3rd base with any drones on it at all, or even have the base to hold off a 4-gate aggression. But because of the timings of everything, you have 2 full bases saturated. That's more than you would even need to hold that kind of aggression off. And if you do start saturating the 3rd and you don't have any units at all, maybe a quick 4-gate aggression could actually shut you down, or at least kill your 3rd, which could even out the game. Make it a very interesting game, which is always fun, always interesting. But in the safest, most intelligent decision that you could make at that point is to saturate 2 bases and use overlords. The one you've got here, maybe depending on spawn positions, you might have one in the back of his base. I've got one here as well, so I could actually double sack overlords, find out what he's got as far as buildings. He's not going to be able to kill both of them before I'll get a full scout on his base and know exactly how many gateways he has. Is he going Stargate Tech? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? And you can easily make your transition decisions based on that. But I think this is a really, really strong opening against Protoss, trying to go forge fast expand, as long as you get that drone there in time. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions or criticisms on this game or this stream, or this channel, I mean. And I'm all ears to that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I will see you guys next time.